Good morning everyone, welcome to story time. Today's book is Wombat Stew, written and illustrated by Marcia K. Rogan and Pamela Lofts. One day, on the banks of a billabong, a very clever dingo caught a wombat and decided to make wombat stew, a gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Platypus came ambling up the bank. "G'day, Dingo," he said, snapping his bill. "What's all that water for?" "I'm brewing a gooey, chewy stew with that fat wombat," replied Dingo with a toothy grin. "If you ask me," said Platypus, "the best thing for gooey stew is mud. Big blobs of billabong mud." "Blobs of mud?" Dingo laughed. "What a good idea. Righto, in they go." So Platypus scooped up big blobs of mud with his tail and tipped them into the billy can. Around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sung. "Wombat stew, a wombat stew, a gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew." Waltzing out from the shade of the ironbarks came Emu. She arched her graceful neck over the brood. "Aho, Dingo," she fluttered, "what have we here?" "Gooey, chewy wombat stew," boasted Dingo. "If only it were a bit more chewy," sighed Emu. "But don't worry, a few feathers will set it right." "Feathers?" Dingo smiled. "That would be chewy." Righto, in they go. So into the gooey brew, Emu dropped her finest feathers. And around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sung. "Wombat stew, wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy wombat stew." Old Blue Tongue the lizard came sliding off his sun-soaked stone. "Silly Dingo," he hissed, "there are no flies in this stew. Can't be wombat stew without crunchy flies in it." And he stuck out his bright blue tongue. "There's a lot to be said for flies," agreed Dingo, rubbing his paws together. Righto, in they go. So Lizard snapped up 100 flies from the air with his long blue tongue and flipped them into the gooey, chewy stew. Around and around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sung. "Wombat stew, wombat stew, crunchy munchy for my lunchy wombat stew." Up through the red dust popped Echidna. "Wait a bit, not so fast," he bristled, shaking the red dust from his quills. "Have I been listening to all this advice? And take it from me, for a munchy stew you need slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies." Dingo wagged his tail. "Why, I should have thought of that. Righto, in they go." So Echidna dug up all sorts of creepy crawlies and dropped them into the gooey, chewy, munchy, crunchy stew. What sort of bugs can you see on the page? There's plenty of different types. The very clever Dingo stirred and stirred, all while singing, "Wombat stew, a wombat stew, hot and spicy, oh so nicey, wombat stew." Oops. Just then, the sleepy-eyed koala climbed down the scribbly gum tree. "Look here," he yawned. "Any bush cook knows You can't make a spicy stew without gum nuts. Leave it to a koala to think of gum nuts. Dingo laughed and licked his whiskers. Righto, in they go. And into the gooey, chewy, crunchy, munchy stew, Koala shook lots and lots of gum nuts. Aha! Cried Dingo. Now my stew's missing only one thing. What's that? Asked all the animals. That fat wombat, said Dingo. Wait! Stop! Hang on, Dingo. You can't put the wombat into the stew yet. Why not? You haven't tasted it. Oh, righto, I'll taste it. And the very clever Dingo bent over the billy and took a great big slurp of stew. I'm poisoned, he howled. You've all tricked me. And he dashed away deep into the bush, never again to sing Wombat stew, Wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, Wombat stew. The end. Making wombat stew might be something you could do in the morning or the afternoons. You might need to ask your mums and dads to help you find some things to be the different ingredients. Do you remember what they were? I remember gum nuts, feathers, mud, creepy crawlies, and lots of crunchy flies. You don't need to use the same ingredients though. You could always pretend or use your own ingredients. Let me know how it goes. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye guys.